Hi, I'm Rebecca and welcome to episode 22 of the Creabea Knitting podcast. Hello and welcome. This is a vlog or a podcast all about knitting, what I'm currently knitting on, what I've been knitting on and what I would like to cast on in the not too distant future, and some yarny themed acquisitions at the end. Feeling a bit all over the place. I normally film during the week, so usually like a Thursday or a Friday lunchtime, and I feel very structured and organised. But this week has been so busy that didn't happen. And then this morning I was going to film, and we live very close to a very large football stadium in Edinburgh, and there was apparently an important football game on today, which I didn't know about. So it was very noisy. So now I'm sitting down finally to podcast, and I'm sitting in a different corner, a different time of day, a different place. Like, it all just feels a bit strange. So bear with me as we go through this, and hopefully my train of thought will start working. The football has finished, but I can definitely still hear some fans in the distance. Hopefully you can't hear that, and hopefully they'll, this game just finished, I think about 5 minutes ago, so hopefully they're just on their way home to the pub. The teams drew, so thankfully there aren't any grumpy fans, I guess, because neither side lost. So I have loads today, absolutely loads. I feel like I'm just surrounded on either side of my chair with project bags and yarn. So I've got a couple of whips, I have a couple of finished objects, I've got a brand new cast on, like I cast it on this morning whilst I was waiting for the football to finish. And I've got a couple of skeins for a giveaway because we hit 10k, yay, we hit 10k, I guess I hit 10k, but thank you for being part of the we. And I ordered some yarn, so I have that to show too. Where should I start? Let's start with what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a sweater because when I woke up this morning it was raining and grey and it felt very cozy in sweater weather. It's now gloriously sunny, so I might take this off, but I'm indulging myself for the moment. This is a Stockholm sweater by Petite, which is a drop shoulder construction design, and it's knit at like a 21 stitch gauge, and this version holds a strand of fingering weight yarn and a strand of mohair together. I used Drops Alpaca and Sadness Garn tin silk mohair, which was the most perfect combination. The tin silk mohair has a bit of wool content. It's probably a more rustic mohair than usual, which sounds a bit odd to say, but it has 15% wool, I think. So it's definitely a bit more rustic. And then the alpaca is just pure drape and pure softness, so it worked out really well. The colour is blowing out a little bit. It's a real rust colour. It's looking a little more orange on me today than normal. I can pop a picture actually here of what it looks like in a bit more normal natural light. I mean, I'm in natural light, but maybe you know what I mean. When I finished this, the collar really gaped and I was horrified, and I was like, what have I done? But the instructions do tell you to put a piece of elastic in, and at the time I thought that was very strange and I couldn't quite get the elastic to sit right, but having done that, it now sits completely fine. Like, it doesn't feel too anything, it feels just kind of... I have plans to make another one in khaki green. The only thing that annoys me about this is I think my pickup for the sleeve on this side is not quite even, because you can see like this tiny little bump at the top of here, which isn't on this side. Nobody would notice this other than a knitter, and I think it would block if I get another block, but of course I would notice it. I wear the sweater, I take the sweater off, I put the sweater away. I don't notice it again until I take it out to wear it, so I've just not stopped to block it again. But yeah, it's a real like cozy hug of a jumper. It's really, really, it feels really luxurious. And you will see later that I'm currently working on a drop shoulder design. This is the first drop shoulder this was the first drop shoulder pattern I knitted, And I don't think I realised at the time this is very, very well done in a way which most drop shoulders, the one I'm designing included, isn't. Like, this is not a straightforward design. There's absolutely no shoulder seam, which I think is really, because of the way you pick up the stitches, you just can't see. I mean, it's there, I think, you can kind of see. But in real life, I think you'd basically never notice it. And it's all, so much of it is done with short row shaping in the sleeves, in the shoulders, the front, at the back. Yeah. There's even shaping actually on the body, like you would decrease afterwards. All that to say, I love the sweater. I will definitely knit another one. And I should move on to the next thing. So I have a finished object, but it feels like it's part of a bigger story, which I guess I can jump in. So it's going to kind of be the usual order is like finished object and then whips. But I don't have just like a straight up finished object, so I'll jump into my whips. You'll see what I mean. So, yeah, so I'm just trying to work out what I have going. I have 5 works in progress. I actually have 6. My 6th one is my Zosia wrap cardigan, which is a test knit for Vert and Rose. But it's a bit of a tangled mess at the minute. And I have so much to talk about, and I feel like I've talked about it for ages. So I'm going to leave that one, and hopefully by the next podcast, the pattern will release, because it's releasing on Thursday the 24th. I'll put a picture of what it will look like when it's done. One comment on it is that I have been struggling with the colour of mine. I'm knitting mine in white mohair, and I have a couple of different dye lots, and it's to me very obvious that one is a bit more yellow, one is a bit more white, and I can see it on this cardigan. And then I tried to do some commercial dyeing, and everyone messaged and just said, like, why are you doing this? Like, firstly, they just said use acid dyes, like don't use commercial dye. And a lot of people said, like, contact one of your local indie dyers. So I did that. I dropped a message to Charlotte, who is a Nervous Fibre, who is a Glasgow-based indie designer and has beautiful colours, and said, hey, is this an option? And she was like, I don't know, I've never done it before. But she asked me to knit some swatches and send them to her. So I've not done that yet, because I've been knitting on the garment, but I'm going to send her some swatches and see what she comes up with, and we'll find out. And hopefully I can have that commissioned into an interesting colour that I will wear more. But let's get into the knitting that I actually have, that I've actually been knitting on. So my first one is a design which I've decided to put on hold for a little bit, but I made some progress and it falls up into the next thing. So this is my Webster sweater. It is a all over textured sweater. Oh, it's coming out so white here. And I've pretty much knit the body and the back. Oh, I'm such a numpty. It's going to be so tangled. Okay, I can undo this thread and hopefully, like this plastic thing, and hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So this is the back. Like, that's quite a good way of showing it. So this is what it looks like. It looks a bit raggedy up, to be honest, but it needs a good block. This is a really, I love this stitch pattern so much. It is like a knit pearl and a slip stitch design. So the white in this one is a slip stitch, and the black, or the grey actually, is knit pearl. And I will get through this, but I've decided that I'm really passionate. Like, I felt like I had too much going on in my design brain. And also, if you're watching and you're like, oh, for goodness sake, there's another podcaster who decided to start designing, I feel you. I feel that about myself. Like, I'm like, oh god, I need to, yeah, I'm frustrating myself with it. But what I think I need to do is like get a little bit out of my system, and then hopefully I can settle back into a place where it's not all designing, but maybe I have like a pattern every couple of months, and otherwise I still know I really want to keep knitting other people's patterns because I really love them. But who knows, because I also said I would design one thing and then I'd stop, and that's not happened either. So don't come here for, unless you know, expect my promises to be broken. So I really love this. It's exactly what I wanted it to look like. It is a drop shoulder. This is the back, and the front, like, it's knit bottom up. This is currently on needles, and it'll join at the shoulders, and then it's gonna have quite long sleeves, and then a really like a statement collar, and I really love it. But I decided that I'm just excited about everything else at the minute. So I'll come back to this, but not like I feel much my brain feels much more relaxed since deciding to give this a minute. So I know that's the right decision. I'm using Holst yarn, and what I think is amazing about this is how little yarn it uses. So I wound off, I think, 2 70-gram cakes, and these were two they sell it in cones and in 50-gram cakes. And I'm using cakes of the white and a cone of the grey. So I wound off about 70 grams each in the grey and needed the 2 50-gram balls. And there's still, I think, something like 18 grams left. And I've knit the bulk of the body of the sweater. And it really is very light on, considering how dominant the white is in the sweater, it doesn't use up very much yarn, which I think is kind of cool. I will, I think, slowly but surely, I'd like to get the shoulders done and then give this a really good block and see how this evens out. So I will do that at some point, but right now it's just tucked on the side. But yeah, it's the Webster sweater at some point in progress. I think what was bothering me a lot about this is I think my colours are, I wanted the sweater to be a black and white, like, graphic sweater that almost looks like a neutral, which I guess it honestly does. Like, you could wear this with so many colours and it would not look like it just looks graphic. Is that a thing? I don't know. But what frustrated me is that I feel like I'm not showing off the stitch pattern as well as I should. And so I decided to sort of go off a little bit and look into, I ordered some yarn to do a couple of accessories and use the same stitch pattern. And so that's what I'm doing, and that's my lead in to a couple of finished objects. Webster sweater is here and around, but we have the cool, hip, younger versions, which are the Webster hat, cowl and mittens, which are currently taking up more of my brain capacity. So last time I showed some yarn I bought, and I had some pink yarn and I had some green yarn, and I was going to pair them together. And then I completely changed my mind and realised I had leftovers, and it's actually the leftovers of this alpaca. And so I didn't do that on purpose. I only realised when I sat down to film that I'm wearing the same yarn. But that's what I decided to use. So I have like a 1.5 finished objects and a work in progress, all of the accessory set. So I'll start with the finished object. Ta-da! The dog outside is obviously very enthusiastic about my hat. So this is the Webster hat. As you can see, it's a hat. I think it's so cool. I like it a lot. So I use pale pink and red, and it's this, like, yeah, it's ribbed so it fits quite nicely. I didn't go down, I think I only went down a half needle size on the ribbing for this. And I'm going to make a second one, but the second one's definitely going to have, it's going to be slightly tighter there. And it's got like a little bit of room here, which I think I quite like, but also it could be like a bit more, you could knit it shorter and it would be more form-fitting. I don't really like wearing hats, but I think I suit this one quite a lot. Someone's going to tell me I'm wrong, but I think it's my colours. And of course it's now kind of cool that I'm wearing the hat that matches my jumper. So that's the first thing. I finished the hat. I got stuck on this. I really powered through the whole body of the hat, and then I got stuck on it because I couldn't work out how to do the decreases in a way I liked. And I did one way and I hated it. And I just put it in a corner, and I knew it stayed there for like 6 days. But I ripped it back out and now I'm really happy with it. So that's the hat. Webster hat. It looks quite cool from the top as well, actually. I like this like bullseye effect it gets in the middle where the final decrease rows. So that was the first thing. Oh, I've got some hat hair, which is not a bad thing because I probably need to wash my hair. I'm thinking I'm looking a bit greasy, but just pretend you can't see that. And then I was so excited about the hat that I cast on a pair of mittens. And I say a pair, I finished one mitten. But it was enough to validate my idea. This is it. It's so cute. So again, I'm very matchy. Is this in the mitten? My decreases on this side are a little bit neater than my decreases on this side, but that's just because I hadn't worked out what I was doing properly. So look at this side, this is the neat side. So yeah, like this is where we're at. We have a look. Especially with a jumper, right? Like okay, so those are my one and a half finished objects. I actually didn't think they've both been blocked. When I first finished the glove, I didn't think it fit particularly well. I thought it was too small for my hand because the ribbing was kind of like looking a bit like this, but I blocked it and now I think it looks fine. Like I think it's really nice and very even. So I like the mittens a lot more than I thought I would. They're really easy as well. It's a gusset thumb. I do again, I think I'd go down a needle size again on the thumb because the ribbing is just a little bit loose. I like the length of them. So yeah. So the exciting thing about these is that so far the hat used a grand total of 8 grams of contrast colour. 8 grams, which is 30 meters. Now I held 2 strands held together, but that was like I measured one ball before one ball like the same ball at the end, so I know it was 8 grams of that one, and it was 30 meters in that yarn, and one mitten uses 4 grams. So basically this is the best scrap busting project ever. What I think it would be really, really good for is, you know, when you have those special, I'm sitting here talking with this still on, you know, when you have those special skeins, take it off. You have like you've bought some hand-dyed yarn for something and you have a little bit left over and it's hand-dyed yarn, so you don't want to just like get rid of it, and maybe it's DK weight so you can't put it in scrappy socks, and you don't really have a whole, like you're not really doing scrappy blankets. So what do you do with your 20 grams you've got left of this perfect yarn? You make a hat and a pair of mittens. So I'm really pleased with that. That was like the pleasant surprise. I love the stitch pattern and I was very excited by the fact that you use so little yarn, because it's not even like the red is quite, the rust coloured red is quite obvious, I think. Like it's not, for something that uses so little yarn, it really shows it off, which is why I think it would be so good with hand-dyed yarn. So, put this back on for now. Oh, I blocked it, so it really got quite like a distinct, it needs to go in a certain way for the bobble bit to sit right, you know? So I started the cowl version, so the plan is for it to be a hat, mittens and cowl, cowl and mittens? Cowl, hat and mittens. It's gonna be 3. And it's gonna be like a fitted cowl and a hat and a mittens. And now I've done so I cast on for the cowl. So yesterday, oh this is really the same colour, you can really tell. Yesterday we went to, here's a bit of a tangent, it's currently the Edinburgh Festival month, which is, there are 3 weeks in August where we have the Fringe Festival, Edinburgh International Festival, Edinburgh Film Festival and the Book Festival, and there are so many things on. I checked today because I was intrigued, and 2019, which is the last time it ran because it's been off for I think 2 years because of COVID, 3 million people came to the city for it over the course of the 3 weeks in 2019. So it's very busy and it's a bit chaotic, but there's a lot of amazing things on. And last night we went to see Medea, which is like a Scots adaptation, and it was amazing. It was so good. But it was standing, and I took this and just cast on the ribbing because I could. And I think it helped quite a lot because I was distracted that my feet hurt a little bit from standing because I was knitting. So between like the visual and then this, my feet didn't even hurt. So yeah, that's it. It's really quite narrow. It's going to block out quite a lot, but it's still going to be, I'm going to double check my maths, but I think it's still going to be like a column cowl, like quite a fitted cowl that kind of like folds up and is cozy as opposed to being like a wraparound or anything. And it's going to be the reverse. So this one is pink with the red, and this one's hopefully going to be red with the pink. If I've got enough yarn left, we'll see. Wow, this is a real look right here, like of all the colours. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. I think it looks really cool. What I'm planning to do is then to finish this, I've got it mostly written up, but I would like to just finish the cap, like part of me feels like the cowl is the easiest thing, and I probably could do the cowl without writing it up because it's all very mathematical. There's no increases, decreases. You just cast on, you start the stitch pattern, done. But I feel ridiculous asking testers to knit something I've not knit before. So that's my plan, is to finish the cowl and then put it for testing, have a couple of testers. Then we a fairly short test. I'm thinking if I can start the test mid-September, it can run till mid-October, and then we can release the pattern mid-October, which is a good time for Christmas gifts, which is the only time that I knit things like accessories really. Like I knit myself one hat a year basically, and otherwise I don't knit gifts. Does that make me terrible? I don't know. But I think accessories are always a fun thing to give, and like this mitten took me maybe 2 hours, so if you want to like churn out a couple of Christmas gifts, this is a really good way to do it. And then in September, on the 9th and 10th, or the 10th and 11th, that weekend of September is Perth Festival of Yarn, which I'm very excited for, and I'm going to look for a skein of hand-dyed DK with the hope of making a whole set, so doing the hat, the mittens and the cowl with a coloured yarn. I've spied a yarn from Zakami, which is a hand dyer based in Edinburgh, and I love the colours. It's like cream and caramel colour, and I think that would be perfect, but I want to go open-minded and see what they look like. And then, because I think these patterns would be so good for hand-dyed scraps, I would love to be able to do like a sample of it in hand-dyed yarn. So yeah, it's been so much fun. I think that's one of the things, is the jumper I'm now working in such flat, and I love working it in the round, because you just knit one, purl one, knit one, slip one, knit one, purl one, knit one, slip one. I love it. So yeah, Webster hat, Webster mitt, that's the nice side, and Webster cowl in progress. So I kind of had finished objects, but I had to give you the preamble to why I had finished objects first. Okay. Okay, my next one is in my little bag from Tea Cake Make, and this is a gift from my mum, who knows about it because she asked for it. We went to a yarn shop in Stirling a few weeks ago, and there were lots of samples up on Mohair, and she was like, oh, love that. And I was like, do you? That's nice. And so she asked, her birthday's in September, and she asked me to knit something for her in some fluff. She didn't specify Mohair, she said fluff. And she goes to a couple of fancy events every year. We quite like a wrap to wear to them. So that's what I'm making. It's black and it's just a big square at the moment, so I'll show you it, but oh no, but I dropped some stitches. I'm fully aware that it's not going to look all that fancy at the moment, but that's bad. So this is what we've got. Oh, that's so huge. Yeah. Ta-da! So I'm using, it's really blowing out, like the black's really blowing out. It's a real nice rich black, like a real true black colour. It's so soft. I am using, I brought it over and everything, Drop Alpaca silk. Originally, this is the yarn I was going to use for my test knit for the Zosia cardigan, but the black wasn't showing up any of the details, so I thought, oh well, I'll find something else for this. And I was going to knit myself a Petite knit cardigan, the Novice cardigan Mohair edition, but then she asked for this and it was perfect. I had enough of it, and it's nice and fluffy, and I know that some people who generally aren't so good with Mohair are really good with Alpaca, so I thought that would be a good idea, and it's going pretty well. So the pros are I'm on track. Her birthday is in September. Oh dear, what is this? What did I just spy? Maybe not. Okay, her birthday's in September and towards the end, so I've pretty much got a month still to go, and I think I'm about a third of the way there, like maybe just over a third. I think I want to be about 150 centimetres, and I think right now it's about 60. The plan will be that it's something that she can kind of like I'll do a really bad job of this. like it'll wrap around her, you know, like a wrap, like a cozy. Are we getting the vibe? I'm not really sure. So that is the vibe we're going for. I think it'll be really lovely. I'm a bit concerned it might not be quite as like dressy as she would like. It does feel to me like I think it'll be very, very useful, but it wouldn't surprise me if this becomes like a daily scarf that she wears and takes to the office, as opposed to the fancy scarf she was at, like fancy wrap she was after. I want one. It's so light and fluffy, and I just think this would be like the perfect blanket scarf. I really do love it for that. It's a bit of a nightmare to knit on because of the black and because of the fluff. So I have at places dropped some stitches and I've just sewn them back up because I don't actually know what I've done. I've got a stitch marker here because I dropped one of my edge stitches and I just couldn't go back and get it. So I'm going to have to sew it back up at some point. But that's okay, like I don't think that's an issue. It's also looking pretty uneven, but I will block it and I think that will help it out. It is not a pattern really. I got a lot of inspiration from the Pearl Soho website because they have a lot of very simple wraps, but ultimately I cast on 120, I think, stitches on a 4mm needle. I am a very loose knitter, so this is probably more like a 4.5 to a 5mm for a standard knitter. I've got no idea what the gauge is. I guess I can at the end measure the width, and that's probably my easiest way of working out gauge rather than catching the stitch count. And there's an I-cord on the edge. There are places where I got the I-cord wrong. Oh no, was it another drop stitch? No. I mean, something's definitely wrong, but I don't know what it is. There are places where I got the I-cord wrong, and like the knit side and the purl side, like you can kind of tell like here and here. I think those are purl bumps where the rest is all quite even. Maybe there as well, there's one. I think it's going to block out. There's no way I'm ripping back Mohair to fix it, and I don't think it's going to make a difference to the final object, so that's fine. So yes, I think I'm only on the third skein. I thought it was going to take way more yarn than it's going to take. I measured it, I weighed out my yarn before and after 10 centimetres and then tried to work it out from there, but that the skein lasted way longer than I thought it would. So I'm only just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, no, I think I've just joined the fourth skein. I think maybe here, yeah, here is just me joining skein number 4. And I've got 9 skeins total, so I think I'll have plenty. I don't know what I'm doing right now. And what was I going to say about it? Sorry, I'm really distracted today. I think that's everything I was going to say about it. Oh, I'm trying to knit 5 centimetres a day and it's working pretty well. I was religiously sticking to it for a while. Yesterday I didn't do it and I'm not done any of it today, but that's okay. I'm not, like, I feel like I've got some buffer days, that's fine. Because now I have if I do 5 centimetres a day. That being said, I still have to do 90 centimetres and that will take me 18 days and it's a month to go. So I still have buffer time, but not that much buffer time. So yeah, I should get going on this today. I'm using a little stitch marker from Brogan and the Woolly Witchcraft, and I never use like Progress Keeper. I never use Progress Keepers, so it's been really nice to have like a use of one. So I just I think this is what I did yesterday, and that's not obviously 5 centimetres, but I just I'll move it up. I just put it like just below the row that I've got worked at the end of the day, or that I'm starting the next day, and then measure 5 centimetres from there. And there we go. I think that's everything about this. I can't remember if there's something else. I feel like there's something else I was going to say. Oh, I'm going to gift it to her with a shawl pin, which I've not really looked into yet. I think I'll have a look on Etsy, but I thought this was a really nice shawl pin would make for a lovely gift. And yeah, despite being huge, like it really fits on, like it squishes down so much that it fits like with room to spare in this little bag. So that's work in progress number 2, because the cowl is a work in progress, so that is number 2. Okay. Briefly, I did a bit of work on my Cathy cardigan. My Cathy cardigan was intended to be my first design for anyone who is new or doesn't stay on top of all my knitting, because of course why would you, you've got a life to live. But I was originally planning this to be my first design, and if I'm being perfectly honest, it was definitely too much work for, not too much work, but it was a lot. I got some stitch markers, like stitch holders. I definitely had some, because my stitches are going to come off the needles, I think. Oh no, I'll find them after. I cast this on, but like I had a great idea. I think still love the idea. I think it looks really lovely, and I cast this on, but I couldn't wrap my brain around the grading. Was no idea how I would grade it, and then got really disheartened, and then got stuck with my other, like my actual design that's now in testing, and put this away for a little while. But I picked it back up again. I just picked up for the sleeves. I'd done the body, and I'd done some. I mean, it's 24 stitch gauge and it's all over cables, so it doesn't look like that much, but it is quite a lot of work on the sleeve. So yeah, it's looking so good. Like honestly, it's such a nice design. I think it's really beautiful. It's hanging a bit rubbish at the minute, but what have I done? I've done one of the front bands, not the one with the buttons, because I still need to buy some buttons. And obviously the body's done, and now it's just the sleeves, and it looks so nice on. And I decided this is going to be like a spring, like a very late winter, early spring release. Like that's my timeline I'm working on. As you're able to tell, I sat myself down this week and I was like, stop stressing yourself out about patterns. It doesn't make a difference if you release patterns or not. You enjoy it. Don't make this more stressful than it has to be. And put things in like a general timeline, and I think about things I want to cast on soon, etc. So I feel much more relaxed than I was. But I decided this is going to be like a late, like a probably like February, end of February, beginning of March release. And I want to give this a full 10 weeks, maybe more testing time, because it's taken me a long time to knit and I'm designing it. So it's like I say, it's all over cables and it's just a lot of work. It's like all over cables and lace, and I just want to make sure everyone's got like loads of time. So like 10 or 11 weeks probably. So I'm just chugging through this, but it's not a priority at the moment. But I'm also feeling good about having a bit of a deadline, but it's still a far away deadline. And I did actually start writing it up. So I started writing it up. I've done the grading. So for the body and the sleeves, I've not touched the neckband or the button band yet, but that'll come. So yay! I took this to my parents. We went out last weekend because my mum and my stepdad got a new puppy, who's a beautiful little pup called Finn. They got a new puppy, and I knew that whenever I took out this and the hat, no, this and the wrap, the black wrap, and I knew that whatever would get quite a lot of work on it, but I didn't take everything, so I had to be careful about what I took to be like, okay, take what's important, because that will get a lot of work. So yeah, that's a bit of an update on Kathy. Again, it's not going to be, I don't think I'll touch it again in the next couple of weeks, but I feel like it's made some progress, and I'm going to slowly chug away on the pattern writing for that one, because I talked about it and I said, oh, maybe I'm not going to release this one, and so many people left me nice comments being like, I love it, please release it. So I will, slowly but surely, and without putting excess pressure on myself, because yes. Okay. Oh, I thought she left. Okay, I'm going to save the one I'm most excited about until the end. But I just cast on a new project, and I cast it on because I was sitting this morning. It was funny because I set this aside and I brought the yarn out to show it as an acquisition, and then I was sitting there and I thought, oh, it's still going to be an hour until the football's finished. I should just cast on this project. So I did. So this, firstly, oh, those hiccups, is in a new bag. This is a bag from So Yarnalicious, who are UK based, and look at it. It's got little clementines and this like beautiful like green webbing on the straps. The inside is beautiful as well. It has a little tape measure tape with a little hook for stitch markers, which I thought was a real nice touch, and there are pockets all around it, and it's of course bright orange inside. This was on sale and it just came off my Instagram feed, and her bags are normally like a little bit more expensive, not excessively expensive, but a bit more expensive. So they're not usually, like I've not bought from her before, but having purchased one, even though it's sale price, I can understand why it's so popular. And I may as well show my other acquisition. I got some stoppers. I recently found out about needle stoppers, and they've changed. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, now you don't drop stitches. Which of course is why they exist in the first place. And I didn't even realise that I accidentally had like a very coordinating order, but I'm glad I did. And so, I've just put this project in this bag, because I pulled the bag out to show everyone, and then I was like, oh, I can put my project in there, so that's what's happening. So, this is what we have. We're having a very red day, red and rust day. So, this is the start of the Novice cardigan. It's going to be like... This is what it's going to be like. This is the start of the Novice Cardigan Chunky Edition by Petite Knit, which I'll put a picture of. It is a top down round yoked sweater knit at a 14 stitch gauge, so pretty chunky. The pattern calls for like Sandisgarn cause or Camerose Sneffnug with a strand of mohair. Now, what happened is, on Monday evening, I went to knit night, and there was a lovely new person at knit night who is very, very sweet. There is another person that comes to my knit night who is amazing and so funny. She's been away for a few weeks and she's back, and it's great to see her. But she met a new person, and I have no idea how they met. Maybe through work. I have not asked that question, but they met, and this new person, I said she's new to the city, new to the UK, I think. Don't think she's lived. She moved to the UK. She may have lived here in the past. I'm really rambling through this, I'm sorry. Anyway, she had said, hey, do you know of any book clubs? Like, I'd love to make some friends in the city. And the lady who comes to our knit night said, no, but I go to a knit night. And the new lady said, but I don't knit. She said, well, just come along and we'll teach you. So she's been coming to knit night for 6 weeks now, and she finished a cowl and a shawl. So clearly it's great. She's knitting continental, like, it's amazing. I'm super impressed. But I turned up, I think, last week, and she said, so somebody told me that you really like you're the person to ask about like a simple sweater to start with. And I was like, I got you. Have you heard of the no frill sweater before? I've knit 6 of them. So she's getting started on a no frill sweater. So we're doing some swatching on Monday. I took my whole needle set. She did a bit of swatching, and she went to order her yarn. This is such a long-winded story. She went to order her yarn, and she logged onto Wool Warehouse at knit night, and of course Wool Warehouse are having an Alpaca sale, and I have no self-control, so I bought yarn, because of course I did. So that is all to say, I bought this yarn, but I told myself, if you order this, you have to cast it on like pretty soon. So I cast it on, even though I have many other things happening. Much other things, yes. So let me show you the full skeins of what I got. So because Alpaca, we're very Alpaca driven, so we're not using mohair, we're using brushed Alpaca silk, and we're not using Camerose Sneffnug, we're using drops air. So you can see there's quite a difference in the colour here. Probably slightly less so in real life. This is a bit darker. And what you definitely can't tell, because my camera quality is a bit crap, is that this has got like a beautiful tonal, like there are some bits that are a bit purpley and a bit darker, and then some that are a bit lighter. It's a blown yarn, and so it's giving a very good like depth of colour to this cardigan. I have made a cardigan at this gauge before, and I love it. I wear it all the time, but I wear it in the house because it's bobbled really badly, and I know I would get a lot of wear out of one that I would wear out. So I've cast one on. I also have a cardigan quantity of drops air and drops Kidsilk mohair in sage green, which is the same plan, but the red one caught my eye, and I was like, no, I want red, and I'm starting to feel that we're festive. Not festive as such, but like wintry. The sage, I think, can wait until spring. So I cast this on. Now, in the past, for this pattern, I've made it 3 times. It's the cardigan number 5 by My Favourite Things Knitwear. And there are 2 things about that. The first one is, My Favourite Things Knitwear are not size inclusive. And they were kind of in the grey area from before, because they do, as much as they don't have a wide range of sizes, they do cover quite a lot of like meterage, not meterage, like they go often up to like 150 centimetre bust. But they advise like 25 centimetre positive ease, so they're not really inclusive in terms of, it's not going to fit the way they expect it to fit. But it's always, I find it a bit grey, and I have knit quite a few other patterns before. But this summer, it's just pissed me off a little bit, because they keep releasing beautiful camisole patterns that go up to like 110 centimetre bust, and I'm just a bit done with them. So for the now, wow, that's very Scottish, for the time being, for the now, my mother would kill me if she heard me say that. For now, or for the time being, I am just going to steer clear of my Favorite Things knitwear patterns, because I think I was justifying it to myself, like, oh well, like they're quite a wide size, like their sizes are quite big in range, but they don't really care, and they aren't really doing anything proactively to include more sizes in their size range. So, whilst also not perfect, Petite Knit does have, for almost all of our patterns, XXS to 5XL, and that's closer to where we're trying to get to, right? So that's what I've done. So I decided that instead of, that was my first issue with the cardigan number 5. The second is it has no short rows, and it's a raglan, and it falls off my shoulders, and I don't really mind with it because I again wear a lot at home, but I thought I would try a round yoke because hopefully it will fit a bit better. So that's what I've done. I've just done the ribbing. This is like half an hour's worth of knitting, ribbing, and maybe 4 rows, maybe. Was that a bee? No, it's just a fly. Maybe 4 rows of body, like the first round of increases. So that's where we're at. The other motivating factor is that on Monday we are going to see a play of my favourite book, which is A Little Life, which is, if I was sitting over there behind the camera in my normal space, I would just pluck it from my bookshelf and be like, this is what it is. It's an amazing book. If you've not read it, I would issue it with both like a trigger warning and also like an emotional warning. It's an incredibly emotional book, but it stuck with me for so long, and there is a theatre company in the Netherlands that have put it on, and they have brought it over for the Fringe, and so we're going on Monday. It's 4 hours long, and it's all in Dutch. Now, I speak Dutch, so yeah, heel goed voor mij. It's great for me. My boyfriend does not speak Dutch, but it's subtitled. So yeah, he actually, very sweet story. I told him on our very first date that was my favourite book, and then he went off and read it, and by our second date had finished it, and it's an 800-page book. So that, it kind of got me. I think that was it. 2 years later, here we are, still together. I'd love to see the play. But I thought for 4 hours, I would quite like to take a knitting project. Not that I want to knit through the whole thing, but I just think it's a good thing to do. I find it settles me quite a lot. Like if I've got knitting on the go, I feel quite relaxed. And I figured if I can get the yoke of this done, then it's just knitting back and forth, and that would just be the body. If I can get the yoke done, we'll see if I get anywhere near close. I'm not gonna like beat myself up about it, but I think for the rest of today, we have a very quiet day planned. I'm just gonna edit, upload, chill, have a nice dinner, and my plan is then just to focus on trying to get to the yoke on this. And we'll see. I think this is going to be really wearable. I mean, if it fits the way I want it to fit, I think it will. I'm right between sizes, so she recommends 15 centimetres of positive ease, which I think is quite a lot. And I've got 105 centimetre bust, and the sizes are 110 or 123 finished. So 110 feels too small, 123 is a lot. It's like 18 centimetres. So what I'm going to do is cast on an extra 2 stitches under each arm, which will add probably a couple of centimetres more. So I'll probably be somewhere like 112, 113 centimetres finished bust, instead of 110. I don't know if that's going to work, but I told myself it'll work, so we're going to give it a go. So yeah, that's my, that was that. I actually have I can tell you. So The brushed alpaca silk, I have 9 balls of it, and it was £13.95. And the drops air, I have again 8 balls of it. Is that including? Yeah. And it was £22, which means it's going to be like 35, just under £36 for this cardigan in what I think would normally be quite a bit more expensive. And yeah, if you're watching this early enough, the Wool Warehouse sale I think is still on. Sorry in advance. Cool. One more whip and then I'll do a quick Cargill update on the test knit, and then the giveaway, and then acquisitions. How does that sound? Okay, this whip I'm very excited about because I just finished it this morning. I finished a sleeve this morning. I still have a whole sleeve in it. But I showed last episode that I had cast on a new design, and it's a top-down drop shoulder sweater with some colourwork around the bust, which I think is something I've really not seen before, and I was very worried that it was not going to work. And then a top-down yoke was so hard to work out. I wrote back, I think 6 times between, yeah, it just was so tricky. Like I could not wrap my head around it. But then I finished the yoke and did the colour work, and then finished the body, and I blocked the body and I've not blocked the sleeve. But let me hold it up and I will show you what it looks like, and hopefully it doesn't look too crap on camera. Oh, it doesn't look too crap, it looks good. I think especially the body that's been blocked, I think it looks so good. The sleeves look a little bit ratchet, but that's fine. We can fix that. So let me talk about this. I've got a video actually of me trying it on. Again, the sleeve is not blocked, but I thought I'd put it on to show you because I think I was really worried that the colour work across the body would look ridiculous and look really out of proportion. I don't think it does at all. I think it really works. I might be wrong, but I think it really works. So this is the colourwork motif, which I really like. It's quite graphic, but does it feel, like, still feels quite traditional. I really love these like leaves, these crossing leaves. I think they're very cool. And it's got this chunky 2x2 rib, and it's got quite a chunky bottom rib, and the sleeve is also quite a chunky bottom rib. And I don't think it's super obvious, but the body, this section measures exactly the same as this section, so there's a bit of like balance. So this is called the Kerr Sweater, Kerr. It's named after my mama, and I told her and she was like, oh, that's so nice, and I was like, yes, this is really nice. So I'm really happy to get to make something and call it after my mum. And yeah, this is where we're at. So what will happen, so a couple of things. Where it sits, you should see it in the video, the colour work runs all like directly across the arm and across the bust and across the other arm, so it's lying very flat. I need to double check with, I've done some short rows in the arms to make sure that that works, and I might need to add one more row of short rows, but I'm going to block it first and see. It was sitting just ever so slightly at an angle, so I might need to add another short row in, but we'll see. And then I need to block it, and I cannot, I'll get to that in a second, express how differently the blocked versus the unblocked is. This sleeve will really block out, so it'll be quite a straight sleeve. There are a couple of decreases just in this bottom section, but otherwise it'll be quite a straight sleeve, and this colour work will also block out, I think, quite nicely. I can now start writing this, well, I've already started writing the pattern, but my finished gauge is significantly different to what I thought my gauge was when I started. So when I started writing, I did a gauge swatch and my gauge was 20 stitches per 10 centimetres, and I finished the sweater and it's 22 stitches, so it's a bit tighter. Now I plan for it to be a 120 centimetre bust, and it's actually turned out to be like a 110 centimetre bust. So it fits, like it still fits, it's absolutely fine. But not, and I like the way it fits, but it's not what I thought it would fit like, if that makes sense. So I could start writing the pattern for this because, what is this green fluff? Where did this green fluff come from? I can start writing the pattern, and I've already done all my numbers, so my plan is to get this maybe tomorrow written up and sent over to my tech editor and see how that goes. However, this band of Colourwork ended up being longer than I had planned it to be, and I don't mind it. Like, I think it works way better than I thought it would. However, something I learned during my Zosia test knit is that the waistband for the Zosia cardigan is 15 centimeters deep, and I'm an average height person, that's perfect for me. But there were some people who were quite petite, and the 15 centimeters was like basically their whole torso, and it didn't like proportionally work for them. So what I'm going to do is I've written a second chart of Colourwork, which is a narrower version of this Colourwork design, and I would like to make a second version of the sweater. I'll probably crop it a little bit and do the other motif and see what I think. Now, I'm not committing to doing that because maybe it doesn't look right, but I thought that'd be good because firstly it gives two different looks. Like, you might not want a wider, you might just like the narrower one more, but it also means that depending on the side, like the length of somebody's body, they can pick a motif which works proportionately for them. I'm thinking particularly for people who are like, I'm 5'5.5", I'm like bang on average, and I think it works quite well for me. And it's quite a longer sweater than I would normally, like, I crop everything, so it's like a normal length sweater. But I thought it's a cropped option, and it also means that if somebody doesn't have as long a torso, then they could still have the same look without having to compromise somewhere else. So we'll see how that goes. Like, I don't know if it's going to work, but so far I am pleasantly surprised that each stage of this has worked out better than I thought it would. So that's been really lovely. The blocking, I am fascinated by this. I'm going to turn the sweater in today. So I blocked the body. The yarn is Woolyknit British wool, and I've got a cone of the main colour, which is this oatmeal. And it's really interesting because it's definitely British wool. I thought it was merino, but it's British wool. And in some light it looks grey, and in some light it looks beige, but I like that. I think it works. And in the last episode I started my Colourwork in this colour. Sorry, it's all tangled up. Which is like a burgundy, and it was such a stark contrast, and I do not think it worked. Like, it really, really didn't work. So I tried again with my cinnamon, and that's what I've stuck with now, and I think it works really, really well. It's obviously the inside now, but I think the contrast colour is really good. So I get comments often about like, oh, you're such a neat Colourwork knitter, and like, how is your Colourwork so neat? And I have one tip for you, and that is blocking. So this is what my Colourwork looks like on the inside once it's been blocked. It's so even. My floats are lying super flat, and then this, I mean, okay, it looks even on camera, but it's so, like, it's really uneven. My floats are all over the place. Like, some of them are bigger and some of them are smaller. Like that compared to that. Like, you can see the white is really popped there because the floats, there we go. The floats are lying so much neater and so much flatter. That's blocking. And then even on the right side, if I hold the sleeve next to the body, you can see how much of an obvious difference there is in neatness. So this is, it's very textured. This is the unblocked side, and this is very, very flat. There we go. I'm holding this like ridiculously, but you can see there's quite a big difference between the blocked side and that unblocked side, which I think is fascinating. I love blocking so much. Like, my answer to everything is it'll block out. Like, it will block out, and I really genuinely believe it. Every fibre of my body. And yes, I'm so pleased with this. I think I'm really gonna hide because I finished it this morning and tried it on, and I think it looks exactly how I had it in my head. So basically, as soon as I finish recording this, I'm gonna go and soak this sleeve and get the sleeve blocked out, and see if it fits the way I wanted to on the sleeve. Now, that leads quite well into my acquisition, which I realised I said to do the giveaway first, but let me just talk quickly about one of my acquisitions, because the second sample. So I wanted to make a second sample, And originally my plan was to make the smaller size than mine for my mum, but I am now aware that this was not the size I planned to make for myself. So I'm still on the fence about whether I'm going to make this size or the next size up. I'm not sure. I think probably the next size up, and then maybe see if she wants this sample. I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But I wanted to use a much softer yarn. I have absolutely no, especially when it's blocked, I have no issue at all with Woolyknit British wool. I can wear it next to skin and it's fine. But I know not everyone feels that way, and so I wanted to make a sample up in what's deemed to be like a more wearable Colourwork yarn, and I was so on the fence about this. I asked for a lot of help and a lot of suggestions, and firstly is basically that everything that was on the list is more expensive. Except for maybe Peer Gynt from Sandnes Garn, everything else was quite a bit more expensive. But it's fine, like I've accepted that. I was really considering Tuka Wool DK, but it was pricey. And I mean, there was like La Vie Animée was suggested and things, but I don't know, I don't mind spending money on yarn, but like I love this. I don't mind spending money on yarn. I spend a lot of money on yarn, but like this is so perfect to me that part of me is like, why am I going to spend 4 times the price to get a yarn that I don't know if I'm going to like anymore than this? But anyway, that's my pricing rant over. What I did was I ordered the most well recommended one, and also which I thought was like a good price point, and a yarn I really wanted to try is Ulysse, I think is how you pronounce it, which is from Durham Natura, which is obviously very French. Something to do with Portuguese Merino. I don't know. So this is 100% wool. It's Merino, carded Merino, I'm sure. The gauge suggested is 22 to 24 stitches, which works for me perfectly. And it's 180 meters per 50 grams. And I think it's about, this blows my mind, but the cheapest place to buy this in the UK was Loop, London. And I think Loop is so expensive normally, so I was very surprised to hear it was the cheapest. It was for £7.15 per ball. So it's about £60 for the sweater, for the yarn for the sweater, which I think is still not, it's obviously more expensive than my Woolyknit version, but it still felt like relatively, I wouldn't call it budget friendly, but I wouldn't call it super pricey. Like it's in probably the middle area. So I was all over the place with what colours to pick, and I said to my mum, if I was to make this, what colour would you like? And she said red or blue, and I was like, I'm not making either of those. For a couple of reasons. I think red and I wanted to use a dark colour with a lighter contrast, and I was worried that red with a pale would look like a Christmas jumper, and I didn't want that. So I wanted something a bit different. So my contrast is I'm happy with. It is called Biche, and it's a really warm, like honeyed oatmeal colour. Super happy with this. This, perfect. However, my second colour is Amarante, and I don't like it as much as I thought I would. And I now understand the problem, because if I hold this up, it looks red, and if I look at it, it looks purple. Again, this is a bit more accurate. If I hold it right, if I hold it here, this is what it looks like on the website, and this is what it looks like in my hand. They're not the same. So it's a very like warm purple colour, like kind of like a beetroot, like a muted beetroot. That's not what I wanted. And on the website, I thought it was more of like a muted clay, which I guess is a bit more like this, like that. That's kind of what I saw on the website. So what arrived is a bit sad. However, I have a Mohair sweater quantity in exactly this colour of yarn, so it's gonna get kept, and that's fine. And I've ordered a different colour, so my budget-ish friendly yarn is now not remotely budget friendly because I've ordered a sweater quantity twice. But the colour I've now ordered is a green, which I'm very aware was not on my mum's list of approved colours. But I thought it would look so good with this one, like the samples are going to look so nice. if I have this one with like and the other one is going to be the beige, and it's like it's a real like forest green. If it shows up looking anything like the website does, we'll see. So yeah, I'm going to cast that on pretty much as soon as it arrives, because I would like to get this into testing like mid-September probably, so it can come out, what would that be, like late November. Again, like a 9-week testing period, but I really do want to check if I like, I don't want people to have to sign up to a test net, and say, I'd ask for some people to do the narrow colour work and some to do the deeper colour work. And of course, if I've not knit the colourwork sample with a narrow colourwork, they have no idea what they're signing up for, and that's just wasting people's time. So I'm going to knit the sample, at least the body and a sleeve, in the new yarn when it arrives, and I might finish off both sleeves during the test knits, which I think is fine. So yeah, I'm so excited for this. I just really love how it works. Somebody messaged me on Instagram and told me I was a clever sausage, and I feel like a clever sausage. Like, yay, it worked. Clever sausage is happy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to blocking this. You can really see, that's what I was going to say. I have used a 3.75 needle for everything, except for I went up to a 4 for this colour work, and even then you can see that compared to the sleeve, it is like, it's a bit tighter. Like the sleeve here is a bit wider than here. It, again, like I say, it will block out. But that's just interesting that my colour work was very even on a big circumference, but as soon as I went to a small circumference for a sleeve, I had to go up to a 4mm needle. I maybe should have even gone up to like a 4.5 maybe. So yeah, so that's my sweater, the Kerr Sweater, coming soon. This has kind of gone to the top of my list in terms of like, I want to get this prepped and ready. I think this is going to be the next sweater design. I'm not really fussed about anything else at the minute, and I love it so much. And I'm excited for my green. I think I got a message today saying it's going to arrive on Monday, so hopefully it arrives on Monday and I can cast on next week. It's my birthday next week, next Friday, and I've got lots of fun things planned, but I'm allowing myself a birthday cast on, even though I've got too many other things on the needles. So that was going to be a turtleneck sweater, but I think I'll put a pause on that one and get like full focus on getting out my second sample, because this just looks so good and I just really want to knit it again. And honestly, this has taken me 3 weeks until now, which I think is insane. Like, I think it's really quick. It took me like 2 days to do, honestly 2 days to do the yoke, and then it took me maybe 4 days to do the colourwork section. I mean, I'm saying 4 days, I also mean like, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours of knitting each day. And then this took me like a little bit longer, and then this whole colourwork section took me like a day. That was like 2 sittings, I think, and then the rest I just finished last night, and then this was this morning. So it flew. Like 2.5 weeks it's been on my needles. So if I put all the focus in the next one, then hopefully that'll be also done soon, and I can send it to my tech editor and I can start the process again, because I love the Cargill process so much. Talking of Cargill, there are a couple of things I wanted to say. I meant to bring the sweater, it's next door. I'm not going to get up and pause and edit my video, but the Cargill sweater looks like this. It is the first pattern that I'm releasing, and it's currently in testing, and I'm pretty solid about the 30th of September for the release, which is the last Friday of September. And there was a little hiccup in one of the sizes and I had a bit of a panic, but it was great. One of my testers found it, and it's adjusted for the final pattern, so that's really good. I'm very relieved that it worked in the end, and I'm very grateful my tester caught it. It was just interesting, right, because it's already been through tech edits and approved, and then even being tested, somebody caught like a mathematical error. So it makes me realise that both parts are really important. But I wanted to share a picture. I wanted to share 2 things. Firstly, a handful of my test knitters have got knitting podcasts, and so what I will do is I'm going to pop a picture of their handles, and I'll include them down below as well. The ones that I know have talked about it have been Ali from the Thoughtful Knitter, I always get Ali. I don't get the people mixed up, but Amy is the meaningful stitch and Ali is the thoughtful knitter, and meaningful and thoughtful are the synonyms-ish in my head, so I get their names wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the thoughtful knitter. Ali, anyway. Emily from Willow Cove Crafts, Willow Cove, Emily. Chris from Obsidian Brat on Instagram, but Raw Obsidian Podcast, and I'm really annoyed at myself. I watched her intro like 4 times this morning to remember how to say her name, and I can't remember. I want to say it's Shulin, but I might be completely messing that up. And I think hers is Yarnspirations. But I'm going to put them all, like I linked all of them here, and I'll also link them below. There are a couple of other testers who have got podcasts, but I don't think they've released episodes since starting the test, and these 4 definitely have. So I will put them all below, all 4 of them below, because they are, their episodes are really lovely. And I think I've had messages asking about like not using mohair or using, I'm really slouched, not using mohair or the process or whatever. Oh, and of course I completely forgot to mention, I'm really sorry, I forgot Mega, who of course is like the queen of my test knit, from Skeins of Dreams, who also has talked about it, so of course I'll link her below too. But they've talked about the process, so if you want to know a bit more about the guts of the Cargill and how it is to knit, those podcasts are really worth, I mean they're also worth checking out because they're beautiful makers who make really nice things, and are doing other great things, but they also happen to have talked about the test knit in their recent episodes. And oh, I wanted to include this picture because one of the testers is knitting it in a tweed yarn, and I just am amazed at how different it looks. I think it looks like, I think it looks quite masculine, and it really reminds me of like an army-ish, quite, you know, like a proper like countryside sweater in this beautiful navy tweed. So I thought I would show that because I think it's really cool, and it makes me want to cast it on in that colour and like a tweed yarn. The kids version I was hoping to have cast on by now, and the maths is kicking my butt. But I was thinking about that this morning, and I think I've worked out why, and I could not make it work out. Like I could not get any form of increases to make the cast on numbers and the final numbers work, but I've worked out why that is. So maybe tomorrow, I'm thinking now tomorrow I'm going to have a couple of hours of designing stuff, like admin, and seeing if I can work this out, because I think I had a breakthrough. Whew. Okay, shall we do the giveaway, because that's an exciting thing. So I wasn't really sure about what to do for a giveaway, and then I decided, sorry, I'll sit up first. I wasn't sure what to do for a giveaway, and part of me was like, oh, I should do a really big thing, but then also in October is like the podcast anniversary, which that feels like it should be a big thing. So I decided for this I would just do a favourite thing and just give away some yarn, and then maybe I just think bigger for our podiversary in October. So I had 3 skeins of yarn who are all from like local dyers or dyers I really love, so I thought that'd be a really nice thing to do. Some of them were gifted, 1 was gifted and 2 were bought, just for full transparency. So they're all very different, and they're all completely different bases as well, which I kind of love. They're all fingering weight, and I'll go through them one by one, but in order to, I will pick 3 winners and I'll post them. They can be anywhere in the world, and you just need to comment below. That's it, just comment below. Tell me something about the video you liked, or tell me something about what's going on right now that you like, or tell me something about anything. If you want to comment and don't want to be included, just put a note, be like, PS, please don't count me for the prizes. But otherwise, I will assume if you've commented, you're entering for a prize. So, first up, we have a skein of sock yarn, and it is from Peak District Yarns, which are in like the north of England-ish. And this is it. And it is called Chatsworth Blues. Now the reason this is such an exciting yarn is because Chatsworth is a manor house in Peak District, but it is Pemberley in the 2005, not 1995, the 2005 Keira Knightley version of Pride and Prejudice. This is Pemberley, and in the museum they've got that bust, that bust of Darcy that she sees that one, that's there. I saw it in real life. So you know. But yeah, so I thought this was lovely. It's called Chatsworth Blues, so it's inspired by that house. So there are a couple of really great things, like there are a couple of amazing like patterns, like the Bennett Sisters shawl. There are some Jane Austen themed socks. I think this would be so cute. So if you're a fan of Pride and Prejudice, this could be for you. What I thought I would do is I'll pick the 3 winners, and then I'll get each of the winners to rank which prize they want, and hopefully I can make it work that everyone gets their first or second preference. But I don't know. It is 4-ply, 75% merino, 25% nylon, and it is 425 meters per 100 grams. So yeah, that's the first one. The second one is from Tumeke Yarns. I used a lot of this yarn for Christmas knitting last year, and I have a sweaters quantity of the most recent Bridgerton collection. I didn't actually realise everything was weirdly like I didn't really connect that I've got a Bridgerton yarn in a Pride and Prejudice location, but I guess I do. So this is a 100% superwash merino single. Oh my goodness. And the colourway is Queen Charlotte, so it's inspired by Queen Charlotte from the Bridgerton series. So it is 366 meters, and with it being singles, this would be really good for like a shawl, something that's not going to get quite as much wear as like a pair of socks. And it's beautiful. You can really see like the colours, like if I look through there, that bit. So that is skein number 2 from Tumeke. I'm sure her name is Carissa. Now I wonder if it's Clarissa, but I think it's Carissa. She is from New Zealand and lives in the UK, and my boyfriend's family are from New Zealand and have just moved back to New Zealand. And when I was making them Christmas gifts last year, I made them out of her yarn, and that was very sweet. I felt very like circular, I guess. And my third one, I've already mentioned this dyer today, it's from the Cami, and I wish there was like touch of vision so you could feel how ridiculously soft this skein of yarn is. So this is it. It's called Hygge, am I saying that right? It's 75% baby alpaca, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere. So she's a fancy lady, and you can just see the drape by like, if I hold that up like next to the sock yarn, like that's the sock yarn experiments with Rebecca. How firm is your yarn? Maybe this one's that's a better example. So that is me like holding the bottom of the skein versus holding the bottom of the skein in the cami yarn. Like it just so that's to say it's got beautiful drape. It is 100 grams, 400 meters, fingering weight, non-superwash, and it is buttery soft. If you are somebody who can get a camisole out of 40 meters, this would be, I think, perfect for that, or something like a ripple bralette, because it's got that silk, and part of me is wishing I kept this skein of yarn now, because that sounds like such a good idea. It's got that silk content, so it's going to be strong, but it's alpaca, so it's going to be really, really soft, and cashmere as well. And it's like a fancy mushroom colour. So yeah, so those are the 3 skeins, all really different, all indie dyers, all like really special in their own way, and all coming to viewers. So thank you very much for subscribing if you are here. If you're here and you're not subscribed, please subscribe, because that's also very nice. And if you want to enter the giveaway, if you can make sure you're subscribed to the video, put a little thumbs up and leave a comment down below telling me something, anything. Yeah, okay, we're doing well. Usually I take a break at some point and I've not done it, but now we're so deep into this that I feel like I'm just finishing from here. So I have a little bit of acquisitions, and because I've actually shown you that already, I only have 2 things to show, and one of them's a bit boring. When I ordered the drops in the drop sale, I also ordered a sweater's quantity of Drops Nord in the silver colourway. I love Drops Nord, it is so soft. It is a sock yarn, 45% alpaca, 25% wool, 30% polyamide. But I have silver, like this is definitely grey, but I have a silver mohair, and I just like to have thin mohair that matches the yarn, because then I can knit with it when I want to, which is really sad. But my problem is obviously that I buy the mohair to match the yarn, and then the mohair and the yarn don't quite match, so then I have to buy different mohair, and I have to buy yarn to match the first mohair. It's a never-ending cycle of mohair and fingering with yarn. But I bought this whilst it was in sale because it was disgustingly cheap. It was £11.60 for 8 balls of yarn. So it must have been something like £1.30 a ball or something. Like, it must have been very inexpensive. So I just got it because I have no control. So that was my first thing. My second one is much more exciting, and comes with a little cool bit of story. So Telling Yarns, who I made a lentil sweater and used special yarn, and they were the people that dyed it. And I saw Telling Yarns at Unravel last year, and it is hand dyed, and a lot of their yarn is, all their yarn is inspired by stories, like literature or characters. So I followed them on Instagram, and they posted a little while ago like a couple of things added to the sale, and I was like, oh, a sale, let me check that out. And one of the things in the sale was some hand-dyed mohair, and I'd never used hand-dyed mohair before, and it's kind of always been on my, like, I've wanted to try it, and it was £13.50 per skein. And hand-dyed mohair is 50 grams, so it's 420 meters, so it's actually about the same price as, like, not quite a Drops Air, but it's pretty much the same price as like a Filcolana Tilia. In fact, it's pretty much bang on the same price. Like around this, any of those mohairs are like £7 a skein commercial. This is the same price as that. So it felt like a very good deal, and is beautiful, and the colours are amazing. So let me show you the yarn and then talk about my plan. So this is it. So it's called Swedish Short Snout, which of course is one of the dragons in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. 50 gram skein, 420 meters, and it is stunning. And of course, I unravelled one like out of the skein, and I've not worked out how to get it back in the skein. But I thought I'd leave it out to show you the colours, because I think this is helpful, but this really shows you some of that colour. So there's like an aqua blue, and there are these like rusty golds, and then there's some like real sea green colour. So yeah, hand-dyed mohair. So this is going to be a lento, which is a sweater from Lina magazine. It's top down raglan. It's got 15 stitch gauge, so it's really loose, and it uses up very little yarn, which is perfect because I've got 2 skeins of this, and I'll have 850 meters approximately, 840 meters, sorry, and I'll pair it with something else, and it's gonna be perfect. So that was my acquisition. I was very, very proud of this, and the exciting thing is I mentioned, I think in the last podcast, that I'd like to do a lentil cowl, like a knit along, for anyone who wants to take part, and I maybe mentioned this to another Edinburgh podcaster by the name of Amy Palco, who also has bought some hand-dyed mohair in very similar colours. And she was like, should we just co-host a knit along? So I think we're going to co-host a knit along. It's going to be so much fun. So I think we'll do like a launch episode together, and then after that we'll just run our own thing. Yeah. And I thought what would be really nice is, as a prize, potentially we could either, like, we could maybe speak to a hand dyer or something and have a sweater's quantity, or like say the yarn or the mohair, to make a lento. So if you're excited about lentos, let me know. We're gonna have a lento party. I'm thinking probably like October, like early October could be a nice time to do it, like October. We'll see. It was literally a passing thought at knit night. And I was like, how would you feel like hosting a cowl? And I was like, that's an amazing idea. And then we went back to talking about other things. So we've not put a lot of thought into it. But yeah, if you want to take part in a lento cowl, that would be really cool. And we can knit lentos. And then Amy and I are going to have almost matching sweaters. It's going to be really cool. And then we can both wear them to knit night. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. I think that is everything. As per usual, I feel like somewhere between setting down to start and now I lost control of my stream of consciousness. And I'm just having a little look, a little peruse. Yeah, I think we're good. So there's something else I was going to talk about. What was it? I don't know. Little life updates. How's life going? Life is really good. It's very busy. It's really nice. As I said, the festival is on right now, and that is just like, we have been out, we have been socialising. We're having a day of not socialising because I think we both have empty social tanks. So yeah, a couple of quiet days. We've seen a lot of shows. The highlight for me was definitely Medea last night. I thought it was amazing. The week before we went to see Ian McKellen in Hamlet, which was also amazing. Ian McKellen was just so good, and I was just in awe that I was that close to Ian McKellen. And what else? Some comedy. We've got our big play on Monday, and then we've got some friends coming up to stay for a weekend, and it's also my birthday, and it's quite exciting because in the UK, that the last weekend of August is a bank holiday, so you get the Monday off. For my work, I get my birthday off, which is the Friday. I've taken the Thursday off because why not? And it's the last weekend of the festival, so all feels very celebratory. I've got like 5 days off of work. I've got a birthday. We've got the last of the festival. We've got friends staying. We're going to a festival. We're going to a music festival on the Sunday, the 28th, and on the Saturday, the day after my birthday, we're doing a murder mystery with my family. And that's like all my siblings and all their partners, and everyone's going to dress up. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be a really fun weekend. It's going to be very busy, I think. And yeah, I think I'm old, and I am not, I'm in my late 20s now rather than my early or mid 20s. And being in my late 20s means that I think I will struggle to get through that weekend without some naps or some energy drink or some coffee. So that's going to be interesting, but I'm sure I can fit in some time for napping. And what other things have we been up to? I met, we went out last night, and I met one of my friends from London for some dinner, and then went to the show, and then we met when I first met my boyfriend, he told me this guy's my best friend, and I've never met him, and it's been 2 years. And we met them last night, and it was the friend and the friend's girlfriend, and the friend's girlfriend and I are potentially the same person. It was so strange. Like, we kept being like, oh, you studied law. Oh, I studied law. Oh, you went to this place. Oh, that's where. Oh, your parents are from there. Yep, that's where my parents are from. It was so strange, but it was really nice actually. I got on with them really well, and it's always scary meeting new people and feeling like you have to get on with them. So it's a bit of a relief when it goes nicely. And I think for my birthday, I am going to get myself a needle roll from Mood. I have already got, it's all the way over there, so I'm not going to get it, but I've got this Stockholm needle case from Mood. And then I saw, because Ruth from the Ruth Loves to Knit podcast sent me a link, she sent me, they've got an embroidery thread roll, which is like really good for shorty needles, and I've got quite a lot of like the smaller sizes. I've got quite a few sets, so I've got a shorty set and a longer set. I've got a Chowgu set, little set, but I've got a few odd Chowgu needles. So I think that's going to be my birthday gift to myself. It's going to be some, it's really loud outside, that needle roll. It's called Elena, I think. And oh, that was the last thing. I knew there was one more thing to talk about. I should have made a list. I think that in the run up to the podiversary, and because why not, I'm going to do a couple of bonus episodes in September. So this might start as soon as next week if I have time, and if not, it will start after the next podcast. So it's either going to be 2 bonus episodes or 3 bonus episodes, where they're not just podcasts, they're like doing something different. So I asked on Instagram, and I'd love to hear if anyone else has things that they like to watch knitters do. So the 3 most popular were a yarn stash tour, which I can definitely do. I thought I would show you where I keep it's terrible lighting in our extra room, but show you where it's all kept, and I can pull out some of the stuff and talk about my plans for them. The second thing was a tour of my local yarn shops. I have 3 in Edinburgh, so I thought I could take a day and go to them all and do a bit of like a vlog around all of those. And the third would just be like a bit of a knit and chat with a bit of Q&A. So yeah, I thought I would do those. If there's anything else you'd like to see that you're like, you watch a lot, or like you watched it somewhere else and you liked it, or you have ideas, that would be cool. I don't think I could commit to doing a weekly episode or regular bonuses, but I think in September I've got a bit of time and it feels like I'm really into it right now. Like, it feels like a great idea. So I thought I would just roll with it while I'm feeling the urge. So maybe next week I'll have the yarn stash tour up, and maybe I will not. But I think the yarn stash tour will be first, and then the second would be the in and around the city with me, and then the third one will be a knit and chat. So I'll see. Yeah. So that's everything. I feel like I really start to ramble now. I think I should have taken the sweater off earlier because I'm now very warm, and I think I've cooked my brain a little bit. But never mind. I'm gonna go make a cup of coffee, start editing this, hopefully upload it this side of midnight. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's not been too chaotic. And might see you in a week. Might see you back on normal scheduling. Who knows? But until then, I hope you have a really good week or couple of weeks and you get lots of crafting time. And thanks for hanging out.